Hey there, cats and kitties. I am the Blues Man, Johnny Blues, and with this video, I'll be discussing my thoughts on episode 17 of the anime series Mobile Suit Gundam Iron-Blooded Orphans, and talk about lambs to the ever-loving slaughter. The entirety of the revolutionaries of Dork colonies, being given ineffectual arms, weaponry, mobile suits, being completely and utterly rendered nothing more than glorified targets for Gjallarhorn and the earthly forces and all that kind of stuff representing Earth. It's just sickening insanity. And, best sort of summarized by Gylo Bodwin's calling it a massacre. And not even he wants to take part in it. And I like that, his dialogue somewhat signifies the impetus behind Farid McGillis's wanting to, go into Gjallarhorn and either restructure it, reformat it, or completely and utterly take it down because of the despicable and manipulative factors in this governmental bureaucracy or tyranny. It's just sickening. All of these people who just want to make better lives for themselves, and they feel that revolution is the only call to arms left to them. The only way they can affect any sort of change. They've already tried talking, and so many of them were gunned down. And they've all been, the sad thing is, they've all been manipulated into this place to begin with. And it's sheer insanity to the point where even Cordelia finally realizes, I've got to step up. Somewhat motivated by the loss of Fumitan and what Fumitan told her, her parting words, does Cordelia understand? She basically pointedly, she gets that look on her face like there is no backing down any longer. I will fight, she says. And even Ortega is taken aback. I'm taken aback. Suddenly she found herself. And it's interesting how we see interposed, that sort of portrait of the Valkyrie holding a babe at her chest in one hand and a sword in the other, and in that moment, as Cordelia is making this decision to rise and to make a fight, make a stand, is Atra at her side, and they're holding hands, and it's almost like, here is the Valkyrie, here is the babe, and, the sword is her words. When they utilize, through Ortega's quick thinking and Biscuit's quick thinking, the news crew, they must have their way out of the colonies. We've got to get back to our ship. We can use them. And Cordelia puts, two and two together. I can actually use this as my voice box. I can get the message out there. I can pierce the heart of the movement that is opposing all of these revolutionaries. And it's quite captivating, and it's intriguing, too, because she goes to, of all people, Noblesse to work this out with the message that ends the episode. And he's all giddy about it, of course, because he's kind of been the puppet master, behind the scenes anyway. And this is perfectly formatted to what their goals were, what, Noblesse was involved in and everything, Gjallarhorn and all of that stuff. So they all see that, they can get a lot more out of her, keeping her alive for the moment. And just the uprising is at hand. Now, it was really awesome to see the Tekkadan boys, as per their sort of, mission statement, having to guide Cordelia to Earth. They have to sort of go to whatever, call she makes. They have to follow it. And they're going to become part of this. They're going to try as best they might to put a stop to this slaughter that is unfolding with the Dort revolutionaries. First sending out Mizuki in the Barbados. It was interesting to see that one of the other guys tries to, jump in the pilot seat, and they have all the safeties off. So this guy's nuked just getting into this thing, blood coming out of his nose and everything. And Mizuki's fine. What is up with that kid? It doesn't affect him that way. He's that tough, or he's that used to it, whatever it is. But they get, of course, the Barbados out there. And this is what motivates Gylo to actually take up arms and become part of this fight, because he wants to go after Barbados, and we see him piloting the Chimaris. You have Ein following behind. It's just that whole sequence. It's Mikazuki in the Barbados is really having a hard time of it. It's the most challenge he's had thus far. At least that was my estimation. And so I love that the cavalry comes a-calling in the form of Shino, coming out in Crank's repurposed, grays, and he's called it Ryosei Go, and yeah, the guy's back when he's, launched and everything, and he's like, just screaming that battle cry, Ryosei Go, and they're like, Ryosei Go, oh, okay, we didn't get the memo, that's what we're calling it, and then of course Akihiro comes out in the repurposed Gujan, if that's how it's pronounced, Gujan Rebake, he calls it, and like, okay, and so the battle becomes less one-sided with, all of these mobile suits in twain, basically. And it was actually pretty exciting, that entire battle sequence. And you have Ein at one point. I don't think he was killed, but I think he got in the way of a blow, coming at Baudouin's, Kimaris. And basically they had to be sent packing because they don't need to be involved in this. With the Earth forces now coming, that's basically where we leave the episode. The Earth forces are now coming, and all of Tekkadan, the 3 mobile suit guys, they're just like, are we going to be able to run or not? If not, let's see what we can do. Let's see how we can handle all of this. And so I mean, it was quite fascinating. It was heartbreaking and heart-wrenching to see so many lives just sort of chess game manipulated as pawns into the fray, into oncoming fire, needlessly. But this is, the thing that motivated Cordelia finally to step up and become that, sort of warrior, or at least the visual representation, the face of the movement, which everyone has already kind of considered her to be anyway, and it's just she needed to find the strength within herself to become that. And it's a travesty that war was going to be the outcome one way or the other, whether she was a part of it or not. In the original planning stages, they were going to take her out, and her martyrdom was meant to be the impetus behind these revolutionaries taking up arms to begin with and all that kind of stuff. And now, like Noblesse and all that kind of thing, they're getting off on the idea, well, we could actually get more mileage out of this the longer she's around, especially now that she is walking right into this, like she's been positioned into this unwittingly, but now she's going to try to make it her own at the same time. And then that's quite compelling. And now that the war is really kind of the full-on thing, I do kind of hope, I find myself hoping that, the next, 8 or 9 episodes aren't going to be just all out and out war every single time. Like these space battles and everything, as captivating and interesting and exciting as they are and can be, I do hope we still get depth of story, depth of character, great characterization, like the best of what this series has given us thus far, to really, just pull us along throughout the insanity that is unfolding. And I've actually been given the heads up subsequently by someone in the comments that this is all meant to just, comprise season 1 of Iron-Blooded Orphans. There will be a season 2 coming at some point where we will see, I guess, a furthering along of this story. So it's like, where are they going to go with it? Is it just going to be character drama with this war as a backdrop? Is there going to be a redirection at some point? Who's going to live, who's going to die, all of that kind of good stuff is left to question with that in mind. But yeah, I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments below what you thought of episode 17 of Iron-Blooded Orphans, if you've seen it, if you were just mad excited and stoked by all the different mobile suits that were coming to the fore in this one, and finally seeing some of them in action, if you were taken aback by the massacre of the Dork colonists, these wannabe revolutionaries who just want to make better lives for themselves, having been manipulated into this. And Cordelia's taking up the sword, it's quite the embodiment, in a sense, of that idea, the pen is mightier than the sword. With her own words, with her being the face of this movement, can she perhaps be more effectual than the weapons involved in the cause, So yeah, let me know what your thoughts on it are below. Our POVs can certainly disagree, so love it or hate it, anything goes. Just love having that conversation. And otherwise, that'll be pretty much it for me on this. Hope this video finds you well, and I'll catch y'all later. Peace.